If you're in the market to buy the perfect embodiment of what you expect a Lexus vehicle to be, you're really looking at the flagship Lexus LX. This nameplate has been in the Lexus lineup for decades, and it has built a reputation for essentially being the luxury equivalent to the big boy Toyota Land Cruiser. Now, sadly, here in America, the Land Cruiser that we get is very different versus the Series 300 model that you'll find across the world. So the LX effectively becomes the only way to get the newest version of the big Land Cruiser. And when the company introduced the all-new 4th generation, they finally brought it into the modern era in 2022, replacing the thirsty old V8 with a twin-turbo V6 and increasing the luxury, technology, and capability from the previous model. So as you can see, this week we are testing out the latest LX. This is now known as the LX 700H, and that's because Lexus has added a hybrid powertrain, essentially adding an electric motor to the already potent twin-turbo V6 on this LX 700H with the luxury trim levels. So the big question I want answered, for those of you who are looking for the ultimate Lexus SUV, and you also require a little bit extra efficiency to go with your power, how does the latest version of the LX 700H stack up? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the exterior styling of the 700H version of the LX with the luxury trim, let me go ahead and pop the hood and show you guys what's powering this thing. Now, of course, that's the key differentiation between an LX 600 and LX 700 is the fact that Lexus added an electric motor sandwiched in between the transmission and this twin-turbo V6. Now, as you can see underneath the hood, the engine compartment looks pretty much the same as the LX 600. However, as you can see, there is an orange wire snaking around the interior or the engine bay, and that's because they've basically added a 50-ish kilowatt electric motor that's sandwiched between the V6 and that 10-speed automatic transmission. So the 3.4-liter gasoline direct injection twin-turbo V6 is augmented by that electric motor. The engine on its own delivers around 409 horsepower. When you add the electric motor, it gives you a total of 457 horsepower and 583 pound-feet of torque. That's just under 50 horsepower more versus the non-hybrid version, obviously, but it also gets a little over 100 foot-pounds of torque. That's really the big story, of course, because the electric motor adds a ton of torque and it adds it at basically 0 RPM. Now, it all goes out through a 10-speed automatic transmission, and it draws its power from a 1.87 kilowatt nickel metal hydride battery pack that lives underneath the rear cargo floor. Gas mileage is rated at 19 in the city, 22 on the highway, which is only 1 mpg better in the combined rating, about 17 versus the non-hybrid version of this car. Fuel tank capacity is just under 18 gallons, so Lexus sadly shrank the fuel tank of this car by about 5 gallons, which is definitely going to affect the range. The total range should be around 300-ish, 340-ish miles of range. I was only getting around just under 300, so that makes this thing feel thirstier than it actually is, sadly. Now, Lexus claims 0 to 60 should happen in around 6.1 seconds. Top speed is around 137 miles an hour. And thankfully, the towing capacity is still pretty stout, towing it up to 8,000 pounds. And with the hybrid battery pack and the electric motor, the weight of this thing has gone up to just over 6,200 pounds, around 500 pounds heavier versus the non-hybrid version of this car. But let's go ahead and close up the hood, which, by the way, the engine is running. It's a pretty smooth and silent sounding engine. Once you close the hood, the engine actually shuts off. I don't know why that is with Toyota and Lexus hybrids, but when the hood is open, the gas engine actually comes on when the car is on. But as you can see, let's go ahead and take a look at the exterior styling. Now, my particular test car here is painted in a silver color that I actually would buy for myself. I typically don't like silver, but Lexus calls this color atomic silver. It's got kind of like a really interesting polished undertone to it. It also has some beautiful metallic flecks. Sadly, it is cloudy outside because it's been raining all evening, so I can't show it to you in the bright sunlight, but you can see my test car has the appearance package, which basically blacks out or grays out the big Lexus spindle grille. All of them come standard, of course, with the premium triple beam full LED headlights, which have an LED daytime running light, LED turn signals, as you can see. Down here, you also have an LED fog light, which is standard, and you can see there's also lots of functional air intake openings. The luxury model, as you can see, has the more extended front bumper design and no skid plates underneath, but you do have around 8.1 inches of ground clearance when it's in its lowest setting. All of them come standard with the adaptive height adjustable hydraulic suspension, which can raise and lower the vehicle up to 4 inches to give you even more clearance. Now, moving around the side profile, you can see the LX is not, is the biggest Lexus, or it's technically not the biggest Lexus SUV, but it is their biggest body-on-frame SUV. So it rides on a 112.2-inch long wheelbase with a 200.5-inch overall length. Technically, the Lexus TX is around 5 inches longer than this car, but the LX is definitely taller, it's definitely wider, it's a body-on-frame vehicle. In fact, I actually kind of wish that Lexus would have extended the wheelbase of this car, because Toyota and Lexus is stuck on the fact that 112.2 is the perfect size for off-roading, and that may be the case. The front and rear overhangs of this car are just a little bit too long. It would have given this car more interior space if they just increased the wheelbase of this thing by around 6 inches. Now you can see with the luxury trim, you have these big 22-inch wheels with a bicolor finish to them. They're like a double 6-spoke design. Brake rotors are around 14 inches in the front, 13.5 in the rear. You have a Dunlop Grand Trek all-season tire that this comes with. Remember, the Overtrail will come with an 18-inch wheel with like a 33-inch tall all-terrain tire. I also like how the luxury has body-colored or full paint finish along the wheel arch trim, along the side sills. It also has those running boards, which I'm surprised to see no power deploying running boards like you'd find on some of its competitors. You can see the mirrors are black painted. That's part of the appearance package. They're power folding, integrated turn signals, cameras throughout. Of course, it's got a full 360 camera, and it also has some black painted door handles. And the roof rails are also low profile, and they're also black. The sunroof, as you can see, is standard. Lexus sadly does not offer a panoramic sunroof, which they really should, especially considering, you know, the price point and the positioning of this car. I actually think the LX's best angle is probably from here, but really you can see the ungainly rear overhang. If it just had a longer wheelbase, they really would fix that. Now looking at the back, you can see this is one of the first Lexus vehicles to basically get rid of the L logo. Instead, it boldly spells out Lexus. It's got, of course, that LED light bar that also was a part of their newer design language. Full LED taillights, as you can see, LED turn signals, LED brake and reverse lights. You have an integrated spoiler back here, along with a digital camera, rearview mirror. It would have been nice if they tucked the rear wiper underneath the spoiler, but there really isn't a place for it, as you can see. And then your only indication that this is a hybrid is the LX700H badge. There's no other badging in this vehicle to let you know it's a hybrid. No exposed exhaust tips, as you can see they're tucked underneath the bumper. You do get a full-size spare, I believe with a matching alloy, and then the tow hitch cover is going to be behind here. Take that off, you can tow up to 8,000 pounds. Now, obviously, a power liftgate is standard equipment, and this is where, again, the LX is definitely falling a lot short of the class in terms of practicality and cargo space, because as you can see, with its body on frame and live axle suspension at the back, it already raises up the floor, but then you add that 1.87 kilowatt hour battery pack back here that also raises up the floor a couple inches. Lexus says they added this little storage shelf here to kind of help with creating a flatter floor. And this is supposed to be removable, which, as you can see, you actually pull up here by releasing that, and you can actually tuck this away if you'd like, and kind of get that out of the way. But Lexus says that with the third row up, you get around 7.2 cubic feet of space. 7.2 is actually less versus the 11 cubic feet that you get in the non-hybrid with the third row up. So again, that's really pathetic. Most competitors offer like 25 to 30 cubic feet of space. And then there's also like the extended length versions that offer like 40 cubic feet of space. So this is very, very inexcusable. As even for, you know, a vehicle that has a hybrid battery pack that's going to help or that's going to, you know, raise the floor and whatnot. But you basically push this button here, you have to hold it, but once you do that, you can see these seats will power fold down, which is nice. However, as you can see, the battery pack raises the floor, and that's where they essentially created this little shelf here, because this little shelf, which I believe they said can support like 100 or so pounds, that again raises the floor up, but it helps to create that flatter load floor. Lexus says when the third row is folded, you have around 31 cubic feet of storage space, which again, 31 is pitiful. A Cadillac Escalade with the third row up offers around 25 cubic feet of space. If you fold down the second row as well, which they actually give you like an all button here if you want to fold down everything. So if you fold down everything, Lexus says you have a total of 62 cubic feet of space. 62 cubic feet for a vehicle this large is pathetic. Again, if you don't need maximum cargo, it's still certainly very usable, and it does kind of help to create a somewhat flat floor, but there's a huge gap there if you're going to be putting bigger items in here. So kind of keep that in mind. If you guys are looking for a big luxury SUV that actually can carry a lot of stuff, you're going to definitely want to check out a lot of the LX's competitors. Now moving on to the interior of this 2025 Lexus LX700H luxury trim. Before we get inside, let me show you guys the key fob. You can see this is the standard intelligent access key that's standard on every version of the LX. It's an older key fob, but it still looks pretty nice. It feels nice. It's a good size. It's different versus what the what you get in a Toyota key fob. It has the usual buttons here for lock, unlock, power liftgate, and panic. If you push the lock button 3 times and hold it on the third, it'll activate the remote start function. There is a key that you can push that'll pop out this little area here. And I believe Lexus does offer their phone as a key if you have access to the Lexus Interface app. Now, as you can see, unlike other Lexus models that have their digital latch door handles, this car has a traditional pull-out door handle. If you touch this area here, that will lock the doors. That'll also power fold the mirrors in. If you want to unlock the door, just touch the back of the door handle, that'll unlock the door. Lexus sadly does not offer an auto walk-away lock or unlock feature. Now, I really like the color combination of my test car. The atomic silver is complemented by this Palomino semi-aniline premium leather interior. This is included, of course, when you go for the luxury trim. A red leather interior would also look good, which you can get on the F Sport model, so keep that in mind. The luxuries don't offer the red leather, but this Palomino is a beautiful like caramel color leather. The leather is also really plush, really supple. The padding feels amazing. The seats adjust in like 14 different ways. They are heated, ventilated, and massaging. Every hybrid version of the LX comes with massaging seats, which is fantastic. You also have very traditional seat controls. They have like a metal accent to them. They feel and they look really high quality, but this is really what you expect from a Lexus, some of the plushest seats in the industry, and the fact that they now put massaging seats in the front. When this car first launched, you could only get massaging seats in the rear if you got the ultra luxury package, so it's nice to see that Lexus has rectified that. Now, looking at the rest of the door panel, you can see there's also some really nice materials. Now, this upper portion is barely a soft touch injection molded plastic. This is a little bit of a miss. However, all the really plush leather is right here and right here. Along this little area here, you have an aluminum accented door handle, 3-person memory on the driver's side. Although it's only on the driver, there's no passenger memory. That's something competitors you typically offer. The window controls, they are one touch for all 4. You have power folding mirrors, obviously, and they have that high quality feel to them. There's a 25 speaker Mark Levinson audio, which sounds incredible. If you guys are an audiophile, you're gonna appreciate that. It's standard on the luxury trim. Down here it is hard touch plastic, so there's a little bit of cheapness on the door panel, but I love this matte finish wood that you get here and on the steering wheel and on the center console. Wood, leather, metal, that's all what you expect from a Lexus. So aside from this little cheapy portion here and cheapy down here, the rest of the interior definitely makes a great first impression. Now, as you can see, running board here, grab handle, use both of them and it helps short people like myself get in. And once you get inside, you can see you're greeted with this nice commanding view of the road, which kind of is what you expect from the flagship SUV from Lexus. As I shut the door has a really solid sounding thunk, which I love. That little rattle you heard is from my garage clicker, so ignore that. It also comes with a soft close feature, which as you expect from a vehicle that's at the top of the totem pole from Lexus. Sadly, there's no automatic opening and closing doors like you might find in like a Rolls Royce, but again, it makes a really great first impression. Now, starting the vehicle up, you can see the start stop button is right here, right above or right at the higher point of the instrument panel. You can see once you turn it on, it kind of just whirs to life. The engine does turn on almost every time, but it doesn't have the same traditional starter noise, which again shows that this is a full hybrid. It's not a mild hybrid or anything like that. The wheel itself is a power tilt telescoping, which offers a good amount of adjustability and range. I love the wood. I love the paddle shifters, which aren't metal, but they look nice with the kind of dark silver finish to them. You have lots of buttons here to control the fully digital instrument cluster, which was new this year, along with the adaptive cruise control, part of Lexus's Safety System 2.5. The luxury also comes with a heads-up display, and there's also some pretty nice materials. So up on the dashboard here, you can see there's a soft touch injection molded plastic with some faux stitching, which is nice. You also have some leather right here, as you can see. The leather is actually really plush here, where it's real leather and stitching. Faux over here. You have a 12.3-inch center display, which includes their latest Lexus interface. It includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It's definitely weird how the GX has a 14-inch display, but the LX has a smaller display, and it also has a separate, I believe it's an 8-inch display over here, where you can control your climate functions. You can control your different functions here to turn on and off the air suspension. You can go into a settings menu here where you can increase the brightness of that. This is something that the Middle East really wanted, and it's part, again, of showing its roots of this being a Land Cruiser. You also have tri-zone climate control. There's some piano black, some silver accents here, although this is not, I don't think this is a real aluminum trim. It definitely feels fake, but I love the soft leather here and here, along with the really high quality feeling switch gear, which is nice. Down here you can see your heated and cooled seats are actual hard buttons, which I really appreciate. And then if you put the vehicle into reverse, which by the way, that shifter is new for the hybrid. It's kind of like lifted out of like other Toyota hybrids, but it has leather, of course, for the shifter. You basically push the P to go to park, kick it this way and hold it to go into neutral, and then up to go into reverse. You can see there's your full 360 camera, which includes parking sensors, trajectory. It gets the job done. It's really a nice looking screen as well. If I start turning the wheel, you can see it has the trajectory, it has cross-traffic braking. The quality and the resolution is also fine. You can also push like a separate button here, or it's over here. There's a view button over here. If you push that, it'll give you a perimeter scan. This is a less helpful view for sure, but it's nice that, again, it kind of shows you that as a little gimmick. I would have preferred Lexus to do a different system like what you see in some of its European and American rivals. Down here you can see wireless phone charging pad along with this big center console with the beautiful wood, matte wood finish trim. You have cup holders here, another storage area over here, but not much in terms of deep storage in the center console area. There's a nice padded center console here as well. And it also has like a dual lid function where you can open it from the passenger and from the driver's side. You can see there's also a built-in cool box, which is standard on all the hybrid versions. It actually turns this little area into a refrigerator, which is nice on those longer road trips, but it does make this not quite as large as some competitors. But I love the plush leather here and the plush leather here. These seats are really comfortable and supportive, and the heat and cool function works really nicely. You can see the glove box isn't the biggest glove box. It goes into the dash, but really the owner's manual takes up most of the space that you see in here. The lid is damped but not lined with felt. And then you can see the digital camera review mirror is really nice because without it, you literally can't see anything because the headrests are blocking it, but you can fold that down if you'd like. Surprised there's not like an ultra suede, but it is a nicer feeling fabric on the upper ceiling of the vehicle. And then you can see just a standard sunroof with a manual shade. This also opens up to tilt and vent air, but again, a panoramic sunroof would have been nice. So overall, the interior is basically the same as the standard versions of the LX or the gas versions. Really, your only indication is the fact that it just says ready in the instrument panel, and it shows you like a little battery display. But you know, overall, it feels like it's built like a tank. You can see out of it really nice with its commanding view of the road. The tech is average at best, and it's weird how Lexus hasn't given this the larger 14-inch display, but the build quality is impeccable, and that's kind of what you expect from a vehicle with the LX badge. Now moving into the back seat, this is where the LX does offer seating for up to 7 people, but that's going to come with an asterisk because if they're adults, you're not going to find class-leading amount of space. Now Lexus does not offer captain's chairs. That's something its rivals do offer, but you do have really plush leather seats back here, which have the same high-quality semi-aniline. These seats are also heated and ventilated, which is standard on all versions of the hybrid, which is definitely nice. You can see the door panel materials. They are hard-touch plastic here and slightly padded over here with more of that wood. You also have beautiful soft leather here. You also have these retractable shades, which is standard on the hybrid as well, along with the Mark Levinson stereo, piano black trim over here, and then hard touch plastic on this lower portion. But once you get inside, you can see there is a grab handle here. Once you hoist yourself in, Lexus says you have around 36.6 inches of legroom back here. 36.6 is not a lot. Most competitors offer at least 4 to 5 inches more of legroom, so that's a little disappointing. There's a large hump here that intrudes for the middle passengers. You do have your own set of rear seat climate controls, tri-zone climate control, along with your heated and ventilated seats, which again is a really nice touch. Flip that down, you do have there are 2 USB-C charging ports, and rear seat passengers can still access the cool box, which is definitely nice. You have 2 storage cubbies here, and then you also have an armrest that folds down, and you get your 2 additional cup holders over here, in addition to some storage in the actual doors. In terms of in the ceiling here, you can see there's also more vents. There's some nice material here, and then you also have your LED map lighting back here. The sunroof does eat into your headroom space, but for somebody my height, you can see I have a good maybe solid 3-4 inches of additional clearance, so that's pretty nice. These seats are really plush and comfortable. Sadly, they don't slide forward and back, but they do offer a recline function. If you pull on this little lever here, this allows you to recline the seat a pretty good amount, so that allows you to kind of get comfortable. Which is great for those longer road trips. But let's go ahead and hop into the third row area, because Lexus does offer a third row. And to get back here, you basically push this. You can see that push, that kind of tilts the seat forward, and then it tilts it out of the way, which is nice how it does that. But if you have a child seat here, you can't leave the child seat anchored, unfortunately. But once you get back here, you can see it's basically just 2 jump seats. But let me go ahead and get back here and show you guys what the space is like for somebody my height. Now, surprisingly, Lexus says you have around 31 inches of legroom back here. Now, 31 inches is not horrible, but it's not great either. What's sad is the fact that the hybrid battery pack and the body on frame and the live axle raises the floor up. So for somebody my height, my legs are pretty much like up up there. Like, it's like not the most comfortable because this floor really should be lower. But I am surprised that there is a decent amount of foot space here. So I could sit back here on shorter drives and be okay. There are features like third row air vents, which is really nice. You have grab handles back here, the same nice material along with the LED map lighting. There is not a center seat here, so it does only seat only 2 across, but at least the leather still feels pretty plush. It's that semi-aniline leather, which is nice. You have a USB charging port here and on the other side as well, along with the ability to kind of recline this seat if you'd like by pushing this button, which is nice. You also have hard touch materials and some cup holders here. A pretty decent sized window, so if you get car sick, you could still see out of the back. The third row, pretty nice. In terms of the headroom space, however, let's see here. My head is pretty much just touching the ceiling, so this is kind of where the third row is not great in terms of headroom space, but if you need to fit average sized adults back here in a pinch, you certainly can do so. But for a vehicle, again, that's the flagship SUV for Lexus, the TX offers a lot more space in the third row if you plan to use it as a family car. So here we are back behind the wheel of the latest version of the Lexus LX. It's been about 1.5 years since Lexus loaned me an LX to do a full week review on the channel for you guys. And I first got my taste of the 700h powertrain a few months ago at the Media Drive up in Northern California. This vehicle has always been the flagship SUV within Lexus, and now it finally has a more flagship-worthy powertrain. I mean, 700h is a pretty high nomenclature for this car. No, it doesn't have a 7-liter V8, but what we do have is a 457 horsepower twin-turbo V6 with a hybrid powertrain, which is the most powerful variant of this powertrain, which is befitting considering it's in a Lexus vehicle. An extra 20 horsepower versus like a Sequoia or a Tundra with the iForce Max powertrain. And Lexus claims this model should get to 60 in around 6.1 seconds. We actually got 5.8 on this same stretch of road in the last LX 600 that we tested, which again doesn't have the hybrid powertrain. So let's go ahead and see what we can get on our usual stretch. The vehicle has full-time 4-wheel drive. We have it in Sport Plus. Let's go ahead and brake torque it. Ooh, actually it didn't like brake torquing it, so we're just gonna floor it this time. We got 5.89 seconds there, which is basically the same time that we got in the non-hybrid twin-turbo V6. Remember, the hybrid carries around an extra 400-ish pounds of additional weight. Now, I'm surprised because the powertrain, when I first brake torqued it, it actually felt pretty fast off the line, but then it just kind of bogged. And I guess that's just having to do with the fact that it didn't like being brake torqued. I'll try another run, another 2 more runs actually, to see if we can get a slightly faster time. That is a little disappointing, although again, it has more power, but it also has more weight that it's carrying around, so it kind of negates that, you know, that extra bump in power. We do have a lot more torque though. 583 foot-pounds is a little over 100 more versus the non-hybrid variant of this powertrain. But let's try another run here. This time it's going to be going slightly uphill. And of course, I forgot to turn it on, so that was my mistake there. We'll try our last run up ahead there and see. That's with it more on level surface anyways, and see what we can get. But what I'm noticing right away with the hybrid powertrain is the fact that the transition between gas and electric is pretty seamless. I mean, that's kind of what I expected from Toyota and Lexus products. This isn't the same type of hybrid, of course, that you find in like a Prius or like a RAV4 or a Crown Signia or the other Lexus models like an NX or an RX, for example, because this has a 10-speed automatic transmission. So it kind of will send it'll feel more conventional in the way it accelerates, because if I put my foot down, you'll feel the transmission drops down a gear or 2 and the engine sounds good. And typically where you find like a twin turbocharged engine to have some turbo lag, that's where the electric motor kind of comes in and fills in the gap. So what you get essentially is just a much more responsive gas engine. That's what it feels like. There isn't really any kind of feeling of lagginess or any kind of feeling of electrification. It just feels responsive. Now, there are times where I notice that the 10-speed auto is a little bit slow to shift. Even in Sport Plus mode, I expected it to be a little bit more responsive than what I'm actually feeling, but it's still a really good transmission. It's smooth, it gets the job done. It has also a nice meaty sound to this with this engine. Now, what's interesting about this powertrain is Lexus actually designed a standalone starter and alternator system to kind of operate in case of the complete total failure of the electric motor, which is separate from any other system that Toyota has ever done or Lexus has ever done. So that again adds to the longevity and the fact that the LX is designed to be, or is a Land Cruiser underneath. The suspension in this car is really soft. Remember, we have the hydraulic adaptive variable suspension where it can raise and lower the vehicle up to 4 inches with the touch of a button. But even in Sport Plus mode here, it still feels very boat-like. It's very, very cushy. It's very soft. It's very much befitting of a Lexus. The ride quality in this thing is actually really good. That's the benefit about this platform, is it actually has a good ride quality, unlike the other vehicles that are on the TNGA-F architecture. This is, again, slightly different. But let's try our final run here. This time I remembered to turn it on. It's still in Sport Plus. We're just going to floor it. The first 1 to 2 shift is pretty short. 6.07 seconds there. So unfortunately, by going with the hybrid powertrain, it's not any faster. In fact, it's a little bit slower versus the non-hybrid powertrain, like 0.1 seconds slower. So that's negligible, but it is a little disappointing considering Lexus went to the trouble to increase the power and we don't actually have slightly faster acceleration. And then we'll talk about the fuel economy in just a moment. But I do like the way this powertrain feels, though. It's a great powertrain. It was great in the Sequoia and the Tundra, and it feels very befitting in this car. I'm going to switch the drive mode here. We're going to take it out of Sport Plus because it's a little jumpier in Sport Plus. Let's just put it into comfort. This is what the LX is known for: is comfortable, serene, boulevard cruising on the highway. For example, I mean, we do have a live axle in the back. It's a body-on-frame suspension, independent front suspension, but adaptive dampers. So in this comfort mode here, the suspension gets even softer, the steering gets even lighter, but this car just glides over bumps. Even on 22-inch wheels, it has an amazing ride quality. It feels like a tank. You have this great commanding view of the road. I could also increase the height of the adjustable suspension if I'd like to go a little bit higher. But this car is definitely not going to inspire any confidence on your favorite back roads. That's not the mission of this vehicle. But the steering, as you can see, is very slow. I can literally do this. It doesn't really change much in terms of direction, but I'm sitting here getting a massage. These seats are so plush. These are one of the most comfortable seats you're gonna find in this segment. And this segment is full of really nice plush vehicles like the Escalade, the Navigator, the Range Rover. This is on the same level as the Range Rover in terms of seat plushness. The massage also works great. It's literally giving your butt a massage as well, which most competitors only have a back massage. This also has a back and a butt massage, which I love. And again, the transition and the quietness of this cabin, the transition between EV and gas is seamless. It's so quiet in this car. There's not a single squeak and rattle in this interior. It's built like a tank, like I said. I can't stress that enough. And I can see out of the car very nicely. The third row head restraints, when they're up, get in the way, but you can fix that by just putting on the digital camera rearview mirror, which I believe is standard on all hybrid versions of this car. It also has their Lexus Safety System 2.5, which does a pretty good job of keeping you in the lane. It's got adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist. It has that camera that watches your face to make sure you're paying attention. And it's great for those longer road trips. But of course, let's talk about the fuel economy, because this car is rated at 19 in the city, 22 on the highway. It's basically just 1 mpg better versus the non-hybrid version of this car. And in my weeks for this of testing, I averaged around 17 mpg, which 17 mpg is literally 1 mpg better versus the non-hybrid when I had that for a full week. So again, you're not buying this powertrain for better efficiency, although it's a little bit better. You're also not buying it for worldly better acceleration. It's about the same speed, 0 to 60 wise, which again is a little disappointing. I wish that the transmission allowed for more, like the launch that I tried to do, it doesn't do it. It will literally short shift at 4,500 RPM from 1 to 2, but then it'll shift at around 5,800 RPM after that. So Lexus is clearly doing something here to limit how much power it's giving the transmission and, you know, off the line feel, but it's still a good car to drive. It's still really nice. I'm not entirely sure the hybrid is successful in terms of on paper acceleration for better efficiency and better, you know, acceleration. But as a whole, this is still a really nice vehicle to drive. It still feels like it's gonna last a really long time. And it is very befitting of a Lexus, and it's one of the few hybrids you can get in the segment. But overall, the LX is still a really nice vehicle to drive on a daily basis. Just don't plan to use it as a family car because it doesn't have the space and the practicality as some of its rivals. But if you expect something that's gonna last a very long time, at the same time giving you one of the best ride qualities in the segment and having the best build quality, the LX should definitely still make it to the top of your list. Now, with just under 7,000 units sold in America last year, the Lexus LX obviously doesn't sell in the big numbers that you see from its competitors like the Cadillac Escalade, the Lincoln Navigator, or a Land Rover Range Rover, but it has been a relative sales success for Lexus because ever since the 4th generation came out, the company has essentially doubled their sales, again, on a very niche vehicle. And after spending a full week with the latest LX 700H, I have to say, when I first drove this vehicle in 2022, I liked it, but at the same time, it had a couple of flaws that kind of prevented it from being a top player in this segment. Now, obviously, the hybrid powertrain doesn't necessarily fix the issues that we have with the interior packaging. The cargo area got smaller, the third row is still reserved for third-class passengers, and the second row doesn't have quite as much space as some of its rivals. However, when you drive this vehicle, you get a sense that it's essentially built from a solid piece of granite because it feels bulletproof, it feels like a tank, it feels like it's going to last a very long time. The hybrid powertrain also has a very seamless delivery, and it's kind of expected because Lexus and Toyota build some of the best hybrids that you're gonna get. Acceleration is definitely quicker versus the non-hybrid powertrain, even though it's not quite as fast as some of its competitors, supercharged or boosted 8-cylinder options. This is still a really nice vehicle to spend time in. The technology, while it is definitely a little bit strange how you can get a larger screen in some other smaller Lexus models, it still works really well with their latest Lexus interface software system. The seats are incredibly plush. I like how Lexus has finally added massaging function as standard to all the hybrid models, where the car, when it first came out, was kind of missing that feature. You could only get it on the ultra luxury. And even though this may not be the best family vehicle out there, if you don't plan to regularly carry full-size adults in the second and the third row or carry a bunch of stuff, there is something that's truly special about this car. I love how understated it is. It's an expensive driving and feeling vehicle, but it also doesn't shout that the way a Cadillac Escalade does. So if you want that understated luxury look, and you want something that's going to last for a very long time, you're going to want to put this vehicle at the top of your list. Now, sadly, of course, with a vehicle like this, it's going to cost you a pretty penny to actually buy one because Lexus essentially charges around $106,000 for the base LX 600 Premium. Now, if you want to go to the hybrid, it'll cost you around $9,000 more because it starts at the base overtrail for the cheapest hybrid. Now, of course, if you start looking at what the actual cost of the hybrid powertrain is, the true cost is around $4,000 because the hybrid is not available as the base premium trim. It essentially starts as the overtrail, goes to the luxury trim as well. And then the luxury that you're seeing here starts at around $119,000. Again, $4,000 more than the LX 600 luxury, which I find to be the sweet spot, although the overtrail is certainly very tempting because of its off-road hardware and its meatier all-terrain tires, and the fact that it just has a little bit more cargo space because you can get it without the third row. With destination and the color upcharge and a couple of small options, my test car here comes to around $121,000. I know over $120,000 for an LX definitely sounds crazy because at the time when this generation first came out, you could get one for under $100,000, but again, the pricing of these vehicles have gotten more expensive. Keep in mind, of course, the competitive set like a Cadillac Escalade starts at around $85,000, a Navigator starts at around just under $100,000, and an Infiniti QX80 starts at around $84,000. So the Lexus definitely charges a premium, but again, if you need this vehicle to function as a family hauler with plenty of space in the trunk for people and stuff, that's where the LX is going to fall short. But if that's not necessarily as important for you, what you're looking for instead is one of the best riding vehicles, one of the more fuel efficient large vehicles, one of the best towing vehicles, and a vehicle that's going to last for a really long time, that's where the LX's strengths come into play, and the hybrid seems like a worthy upcharge versus the non-hybrid variant. And again, if you want the ultimate LX, this is the model you're going to wanting to be putting in your driveway. With all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2025 Lexus LX 700H. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.